And we can't ignore them. Emotions are what color our life. Primitively, it's necessary for survival, and in today's context, it's necessary for our relationships. So we can't even talk about relationship until we get to the feeling part of it, right? So that's why they say expression is the opposite of depression. Being able to express our feelings and be smart about navigating them, be smart about harnessing them for our own betterment and for the betterment of others is the foundation of all relationships. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Experimental Parent with me, Jasmine. This week we are talking about what's the big deal about feelings. So on this show and in my practice as an EQ coach, I keep emphasizing approaching relationships from a feeling perspective. It's because it gives you insights into what your children are really trying to tell you, even though they may say otherwise, or even though they may not say it. Especially for younger children who are not yet able to accurately identify their emotions, much less express them, all the more it is important to create such a culture, to create such a habit, such a practice, until emotional literacy, being smart about their feelings, becomes second nature. I came across this quote and I think it really resonated with me. It says, "Our feelings are our most genuine path to knowledge." And we can't ignore them. Emotions are what color our life. Primitively, it's necessary for survival, and in today's context, it's necessary for our relationships. So we can't even talk about relationship until we get to the feeling part of it, right? So saying that we don't need feelings, or feelings are not as important as logic, is like saying we can have a body without a heart. And that's why I think that approaching from a feelings perspective helps us to discover the world of our children. It doesn't mean that they feel a certain way and they can be allowed to be willful about it or to do negative things as a result of those feelings. It doesn't mean that we don't have to draw boundaries at what is acceptable action as a result of the feelings, but the feelings themselves are neutral. They are what we have, not what we are, right? So it's okay to express them. In fact, suppressing our feelings is making it more difficult for us to come to terms with them. And sometimes for difficult feelings, it makes it even harder for us to make peace with them if we suppress. So that's why they say expression is the opposite of depression. Being able to express our feelings and be smart about navigating them, be smart about harnessing them for our own betterment and for the betterment of others is the foundation of all relationships. So there may be times in our interactions with our children that we may have unconsciously ignored their feelings, or we have not actually been able to tap into a deeper level of understanding of what they were really trying to tell us. So I have a couple of examples, and the first one was when we came back home one day from an outing, and we reached home. Of course, it was normal practice for us to like remove our shoes, go straight in, wash our hands, wash our feet, and so on. But my older son was just lingering at the door. He refused to come inside. So I recall my husband telling him, "Liam, you need to come inside now. We have to wash our hands and our feet, and we're going to have dinner soon," and so on. He said, "I don't want to remove my shoes." And my husband's reply to him was, "Do you see any of us wearing our shoes in the house? You know the rules, right? We don't wear shoes in the house, so you have to take them off." So when he said that, I think he really came from, it's a factual perspective, right? It was logical that, yeah, let me just use facts and evidence to show you why you should be removing your shoes. Because first of all, it's a house rule. You have to follow the rules. And second of all, you can observe this evidence here. Nobody wears shoes in their house, and hence you have to take them off. But I think in that state, it's not that my son didn't understand that he needed to take off his shoes. I mean, he's 3 and he has taken his shoes off all the time, right? When we come back home. So he knows the rules. He knows full well that when you come back home, you're supposed to remove your shoes. So I think there was a little, there was something deeper than just knowing or not knowing the rules and having to follow the rules and hence taking off his shoes. I think there was something that we were not tapping into, there was some emotions that were unsaid that I think I needed to help him discover. So I went up to him and I said, Liam, you don't want to take off your shoes, is it because you really like your new shoes? And he nodded. And well, as it turns out, he was wearing his red Lightning McQueen shoes, new shoes with lights on. So he really loved that pair of shoes. Even though he had so many other pairs, he would always choose that pair. And it was the first 3 times he was wearing those shoes out. So I think he knew, right? But it's just that he wanted to stay on a little bit because he really liked his shoes and he just couldn't bear to take them off. So I said, is it because you really like your shoes? And he's like, yeah. And I said, yeah, your shoes look so cute, right? With the lights on. But you have to take them off now because we don't wear shoes at home and you need to give your shoes time to air so that it won't be smelly. Then next time when we go out, you can wear them again. Are you going to wear these shoes again the next time you go out? And he's like, yeah. And like, okay, then you gotta take them off to air them first. And then, without hesitation, he took them off and went and washed his hands and feet. So here I was tapping into what was not so obvious to all of us, right? Immediately we're just like, okay, you have to take off your shoes is the rule. But why wasn't he complying? Why didn't he want to take off his shoes? It was probably because he couldn't bear to take them off because there was something more. It was like this feeling of attachment to his new shoes. Another example was one day when we were at the car wash. So my older kid obviously was very excited about the car wash and he's like, okay, we're gonna go wash the car, And I think the past few times when we washed the car, he was either asleep or he wasn't with us. So this was one of the few experiences where he was with us during the car wash. So when we were approaching the car wash and he saw how the cars in front were being washed, he was really excited, with the jets of water going at it and the foam and all the scrubbing. That really excited him. And so he kept saying that he wanted to go wash the car. Now, when it came to our turn and it was time for the car washers to spray all the water onto the car, the sound that it made when it hit the car, I think surprised my kid. And I think he was a little bit scared off by that. So as the car continued to be washed, halfway he just suddenly said, I don't want to wash the car already. And I think somebody in the car replied, oh, but you're not washing the car. So again, it's about what is being said and what is not being said. So I think what he said with his limited 3-year-old vocabulary was that I don't want to wash the car. And if we take it at face value, okay, like you don't want to wash the car, but you're not washing the car. It makes sense, right? The reply to him. But again, if we tap into the feelings aspect of it, I think, first of all, what he was really trying to say was that I don't want to go on this car wash thing anymore. And the reason why he didn't want to go on this car wash thing anymore was likely because he got scared off by the water jet. So it's yet another example of being in tune with their emotions and applying global listening, right? So in active listening, we call that level 3 listening, global listening. And it's being in tune with not just what the person is telling you, but also what the person is not telling you, being able to catch the nuances and the emotions that go behind what they say. Third example, it's bedtime. Okay, I know bedtime. I think many mummies and daddies can really relate to the bedtime struggle, right? And there's so much emotions to talk about in this routine. So when it's time for bed, obviously we have to tell the children, okay, kids, time to pack your toys. It's bedtime. It's time to go brush your teeth and go to bed. And that's probably the most sian time of the day for them because it's like they don't want playtime to end. Who wants playtime to end, right? So when we go into this struggle with the children and they're like, no, I don't want to keep my toys, but you're like, no, you have to keep your toys because it's bedtime. But like, no, I don't want to keep it. Okay, if you don't keep it, I'm going to confiscate all of them. No more toys. Then we go into this power struggle again. So when I play back this scenario of bedtime and our constant struggles with the children, and again, I apply the feelings perspective into it, I can understand the feeling of disappointment that fun times have to end. The fact that they can't bear to stop playtime because they have to go do something even more boring than that, which is go to sleep. So if I can relate to that disappointment, I think I can also draw it back to my own disappointments if, like, for example, we're going on a holiday, right? And when we're on the holiday, we're enjoying so much, but as the holiday is coming to an end, you start to like, oh, I really wish this holiday can go on forever, and the disappointment of having to eventually end the holiday and come back home. So what helped me, or what has helped me to deal with disappointments when it comes to the end of the holiday, is first of all to kind of build up to it, right? So I tell myself, okay, we have 2 more days to go. These are the things that we have left to do, but yeah, there's still, between now and the day that we go to the airport, we can still do these things. So it's kind of building up and letting myself know that, okay, it's coming to an end soon, but here's what I can still enjoy while it is still going on. The second thing is to create something to look forward to after my holiday. So I know I'm gonna be very sian and come back to all my emails and come back to all my work after my holiday. So I will probably arrange a nice dinner, or arrange a nice play date with the kids and friends, or just arrange another short trip even after that, and then I can look forward to that when I come back from the holiday. So it's creating something else that I can look forward to, even though this enjoyable thing is coming to an end. So the same thing with bedtime, for example. We can apply all of these things to minimize the disappointment that they feel of having to end bedtime and go to bed. So first of all, giving them a concept of time is helpful. Letting them know that, hey, between now and bedtime, there's still 10 minutes, so you still have 10 minutes to play. I think this concept of time at the beginning for younger children is very hard to for them to grasp, especially when they haven't learned how to recognize the clock and how to tell time. So I always use an alarm. So I let them know and I give them a countdown, so they know that, okay, that time is shortening by this much, this much. I always say, okay, there's 10 more minutes left to bedtime, and when the alarm goes off, this is what you have to do, okay? Then, okay guys, 5 minutes left. Okay, 2 minutes, you might want to pack your toys now. 1 minute, and then eventually when the alarm goes off. So there's a concept of time, a concept of predictability, of them to know what to expect as the time is minimizing and bedtime eventually arrives. Second thing, like I mentioned about that predictability, is to tell them what to expect. So when I say when the alarm goes off, this is what we're going to do. We're going to brush our teeth. You can bring a toy into the room, and then we're going to do a bedtime story. So they know, okay, this is the routine. This is what we're going to do. Children thrive on routines. Children thrive on predictability. So giving them an idea of what to expect and following this routine religiously every day will help them to set themselves into that clockwork, when they know, okay, when mommy gives me this signal, when mommy tells me this time, when the alarm goes off, it's time to do this. Last of all, give them something to look forward to. I think we can afford to just, allow our children this much, because even as adults, we don't even want fun times to end, right? Imagine for children who are unable to regulate their emotions very well yet, all the more they'll be very disappointed. So how I try to mitigate that is I either tell him that he can bring one toy into the room, into the bed with him, so it doesn't feel like a complete end and a complete shut off from all his toys and playtime. It just means that you can't play in the playpen anymore, but you can still bring one, and if you need some time to before you can fall asleep, you can still play with this toy. So that's one thing. And or another way of creating something to look forward to is I'll tell them, okay, you got to sleep early, because tomorrow, especially if the next day is a weekend, right, or the next day is a public holiday, I'm going to say, tomorrow we're going to do this, but you need to have enough energy, otherwise you don't have energy to play. So you need to go to bed early, and then tomorrow when you wake up, when Mr. Golden Sun comes out, we'll get to do this. Okay, so usually they'll look forward to that. There is something to look forward to, even though a fun time now in this current point in time has ended. So that is how approaching from a feelings perspective has really helped me in these kind of situations, bedtime being the most frequent one. And I think the more you talk to your children about their feelings, the more you expose them to this whole world of feelings, the more you are also cultivating empathy. You are also helping them learn to become more sensitive to not just their own feelings, but also the feelings of others. Now, when you are having that feeling conversation with your children, I think even though they are very young, we don't want to water the terms down to very basic terms of just like angry, sad, scared, and happy. As they grow older, they will obviously expand their vocabulary with education and so on. But early on, as soon as you notice that they are able to absorb and convert to permanent memory these words that are not too big, and easy to remember, go ahead and use the actual terms of the feelings. That will help to expand their vocabulary bank, and it will also help to more accurately help them pinpoint what is it they're feeling and more accurately express how they feel to you in future. So around the time that my older child was 2.5, I think that's a good time. I would then use more types of feelings, feeling words to help him describe what he's feeling, or to describe how I or somebody else that he has interacted with is feeling in any given point in time. So I expose him to emotion words like disappointed, frustrated, excited, shy, nervous, surprised, or even words like hurtful, things like that. So I found these especially helpful also when he sometimes says things because he doesn't know what is the right word to say it, but it has negative impact on the people who are receiving it. One example is if he passes by a stranger, someone he doesn't know, or a relative that he hasn't met for a long time, and he'll just say, I don't like who, I don't want who. So I will try to rephrase that for him, knowing that he doesn't necessarily mean to say that he doesn't like this person, because you can't dislike someone you don't even know, right? And for people whom you don't know well enough, like distant relatives, all the more you can't just form judgment. And I also want him to learn that you can't just form judgment or pass off a remark like that. So I will tell him, oh, okay, do you mean to say that you are scared of them because you're shy, or you're scared of them because you don't know them well, or are you shy to say hello? Things like that. Then he will say yes, it's probably because he's scared of them, or he's shy, or he doesn't know them well. So then I'll say, okay, I get that you're shy, so you can say, Mommy, I'm scared of this person, or Mommy, I'm shy to talk to this person. But then don't say I don't want so easily, because it's very hurtful. And when people hear that, it makes them sad, it makes them disappointed. Telling him this way helps him to better understand that, okay, a term like this cannot just be used and expressed so freely and have no repercussions on people. So it's just like how I said, how would you feel if I keep telling you I don't like you, I don't want you, and then he internalizes how it makes him feel, that uncomfortable feeling. He's more likely to be able to empathize and say, I probably shouldn't do that to other people as well. Another classic example, I think, is in relation to what we deem as having manners, or well-behaved children, especially in our Asian parenting context. Getting our children to greet their elders when they visit or they go to anybody's house is something we consider to be a important value, and something we want to inculcate in our children, right? Being respectful, being courteous to our elders or to the host of the house. With my older kid, he struggled with it because he was very timid by nature. And even though he's very expressive and he's very animated and quite a funny child, with people whom he's comfortable with people who knows him well, people who cares about him and whom he enjoys being with, he's like that. But with people who have just met and it's the first time or we seldom meet, he's very timid. So he's very stranger danger. And in the earlier days when he had just developed his speech abilities and so on, and I tried to teach him and he has to say hello, he will really just cower in fear, and he will literally, when we are carrying him, right, you can literally feel like if he was like a thong or one of those things that you screw on to fasten, he'll like just yep you very tight the moment you try to put him down, or the moment you try to like pass him to a relative to let them carry and all that. That's his nature. Again, it's not something that we should penalize him for, because it's their personality. It's also their innate fears, which I think we should be addressing rather than forcing them to suppress. So how I balance this, so how I try to inculcate the value in him without forcing him or without creating a very negative association and causing him to be traumatized by the whole experience. So I'll first ask him, okay, Liam, can you say hello to who? And he will say, no. Then I'll ask him, oh, okay, is it your hello is not ready yet? Is your hello ready? Then he'll say, no. And because I started off already with this idea that you need to get ready your hellos, so he will quite inevitably go with this concept of like, oh, I need to prepare my hello. So his reply to me will be, no, not ready. I'm like, oh, okay, so your hello isn't ready. That's okay. Let's take some time to get it ready. And what I'm trying to do actually here is I'm trying to get the child to go into a comfortable space and time to build up sufficient courage to then go and say hello. So I'm not discounting that, oh, just because you're shy or just because you're afraid means you don't have to say it. As we grow up, we will have to meet with a lot of people, and we will have to sometimes do things which doesn't make us feel entirely comfortable, but it's the right thing to do. He needs to do it because if you're only being respectful to say hello to people. So you will have to do it. But if it's because of fear, because of being shy, because of timid that you are not able to do it now, that's okay. I'll give you time, I'll give you space, I'll give you the support that you need so that you will be able to eventually sum up enough courage to go and say hello. So if he says, no, I'm not ready, then I'll say, okay, you need to take some time to say hello. Okay, then we'll go to a quiet corner, away from the crowd, away from everybody, and away from everything that is intimidating him and deterring him from saying hello. So we go to a nice quiet corner where he's comfortable and it's just me and him. He's getting comfortable in this foreign space because I am with him, because the crowd is not there. Then I will slowly try to get him to say hello, usually by enticing him to do something in that house, right? Like, oh, I think I see strawberries over there. Would you like to eat some strawberries in Uncle who's house? Then he'll usually like, oh yeah, I want strawberries. Then I'll say, oh, okay, but before we go and take something from the host's house, it's only respectful that we say hello to the host of the house. So shall we go and say hello, then we can go and get some strawberries to eat? And usually by then he would have let down a little bit of his guard and he'll be ready. Even though he's not ready to like go all out by himself and like just approach the person, he'll probably still be clinging onto me, but that's okay. I think that it's something that I'm willing to give, in order for him to learn this concept of being respectful and courteous. So he will still go even though I'm carrying him, and then he will say hello. Sometimes he starts off very, very softly, like hello, you can barely hear him, and then you just need to gently nudge him and then you gotta say it a little bit louder, they can't hear you. And then eventually he'll say hello. With bye-byes, he doesn't have that trouble. He's always so loud and eager to say bye-bye. Because he's like, okay, I'm finally returned home to my comfort space. So it's the hellos. But I feel that as he has grown, as he aged, it gets better. He starts to open up a lot quicker, and he is now it's a habit that he knows that he can't avoid it. He's not going to get away with not saying hello. By the time we leave, that means within the time that we are in that person's house, he must say the hello. And so he knows there's no way he can escape it. He might as well have to say it, right? The only the saving grace is that I give him time to prepare himself, and he takes lesser and lesser time now to prepare, and his hellos get louder and more confident as time goes by. So in a different episode, I talked about the emotion bottles by Hand to Mind, and how they really helped my older child make sense of his emotions, especially the big feelings, the anger, the fear, sadness, and happiness. Apart from that, another thing that really can help are emotion cards. I get mine from 6 Seconds Emotional Intelligence because that is where I learned and did my EQ studies at. But you are free to purchase, any emotion cards that are available online. They're very comprehensive. They have a full bank of feeling words, and there are more than 3,000 feeling words in the English dictionary. So there's no shortage of words to accurately express how you feel. You just have to open yourselves to them. So emotion cards really help me, even as adult learners. It really helps us. And it can be used also for children. As they become more proficient in the English language, you can expose this to them.
Thanks for tuning in to the Experimental Parent. Remember, we are all in this together. So if you have a story, topic suggestion, or feedback you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can DM me on the show's Instagram, The Experimental Parent, or leave a comment here. If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to like or subscribe so you never miss out on future episodes. Your support means the world to us. So let us know, how was your experiment today?